to be on the basically student written. That's true of the operating budget. It's not true for the capital budget, which is based on STEP. Is that the right terminology? Yes, the value of the capitalization or the value of the properties of the district. And Pennridge is really the lion's share there, 47%, something like that.
State tax equalization.
Yeah, the state tax equalization.
I think Melissa's, to Melissa's point, I think she made a good point, which is that, I mean, if we're looking at how you get more money, that's really the issue. And if whichever district is paying the highest and hitting that index, I guess I don't see it as that complex of an issue, because the issue is everybody has to pay more, but no one wants to pay more. So I don't know, you'd have to convince at least the top district to go above that Act 1 index, and then everyone else raise incrementally. So, I mean, as far as changing the funding formula, I think it's already a fair funding formula, because it's based on the how many students you have that you're sending. So as far as increasing the revenue, it's really, unless there's also going to be discussion about other ways to bring in revenue, is that maybe part of it?
Well, there've been discussions of that nature, right? And people have brought in some revenue. As you can see here, there is some additional revenue over the, whatever it is, $6 million that the school districts contribute. But in fact, there's about almost $3 million of other revenue. So there is other revenue, but there isn't enough other revenue, and it keeps shrinking relative to the total budget. That's what the problem is. Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, if you remove the Act 1 limitation, then, as I say, all three sending districts would be raised, the request for money would be raised dramatically, probably, at least for Quakertown dramatically, and for the others somewhat significantly. The problem is that you don't pass the budget. So what do you do then? You have to send it back to the VOTEC, and they have to pare the budget at some point. So that's, and most of us, I think, who serve on the board, certainly I'll speak for myself, not for the others, think that these programs are well worth the while. That they aren't that expensive. They are more expensive per student probably than here. Again, it's an economy of scale issue. We're educating 7,300 students in Pennridge. They're educating 700 students at VOTEC. But there are 700 students that I think go out and work in very valuable things. I can tell you from having a power issue recently, that having an electrician sometimes is a pretty useful thing to work with, right? Someone who can put that power back in place. But I think that's why I think that if we can lift that cap, it'll have to be phased in, because the boards won't vote for it. Would this board vote for a 10% increase if that's what came to us? I don't think they probably would, but
and that would be the fair amount. That's what
it might well be. I don't know exactly what the number, but it probably would be roughly that kind of number.
But I mean, you could step it up a little bit and not go all the way.
Well, that's what I say. That's what it is. It'll have to be. I think it will have to be a phased-in increase of some sort.
And I guess the other thing, and this is kind of off topic a little bit, but there's some people are saying that because we're kind of duplicating efforts over here with some of the classes that we're offering, and that maybe that's part of the reason why Pennridge has numbers decrease, why we haven't been getting as many kids going to the VOTEC, because they feel like, well, I can still take a lot of those cool courses here. So, like, at what point are we kind of hindering our VOTEC because we're kind of sucking those kids in here with some of these courses, as opposed to, adding those courses there? You know what I mean?
It's called cannibalizing.
Yeah. Mr. Krause?
I just have a couple of comments. The funding formula is difficult. Peter, I agree with you. And I look forward to whatever recommendations that the committee comes out with. I'm not going to debate that here. Secondly, this budget as proposed is pretty thin, as I see it. Having been there and gone through it pretty closely, there's a substantial reduction in computers. The reason for that is that the VOTEC has found a way to allow the sending unit kids to bring their computers with them.
The one-on-one.
Right, the one-on-ones can use their computers at the VOTEC. Therefore, the VOTEC did not have to buy redundant computers for those students. So they're implementing creative solutions. And the biggest impact to this has been the healthcare increase. And just so everybody knows, the VOTEC is in the consortium, Peter?
Yes. We
So
are.
that increase is huge. That 33% increase that the consortium is feeling, we are not feeling here in Pennridge.
I mean, I want to be supportive. I was going to say, whatever you guys recommend would be what I would want to support you in. I just want to know if there's anything we can do to help, expedite the correction of the problem.
Let them do their, I agree with you, Joan, but I'm for letting the committee do
I
their
just
work.
remember last year we were here and there was a lot of discussion about whether we should approve it in order to force Quakertown a little bit. I'm not saying.
As I recall, we did not adopt the budget last year.
No,
We
we
did
did
not.
not here.
And
Not
so
here.
nothing-
Not
Not
still
here.
passed.
The other two
We still
sending
paid it.
districts did.
I'm sorry, I thought that we had.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
We still pay them.
No, there weren't enough votes to, as I say, missing votes. I was not here that night. I was in California, actually. And, if you're missing and you don't vote, that's a no vote effectively, so, yeah. But there were enough votes among the three districts, both in terms of 2 of the 3 did approve it, and there were 14, more than 14 total votes.
I would just like to add that this is not just educating our kids, this is really improving our local economies by supplying skilled, I don't want to say labor, but skilled tradesmen. Yeah, absolutely. So this is not just a VOTEC or a school issue, this is our community. And I think we all need to remember that, so thank you.
I'm completely in support of it. I'm thinking of them, they're going to be running out of money soon, and, yeah.
And programs will be cut.
Yeah, and that's what I don't want to see happen when I think you can fix the problem.
Yeah, I kind of just want to echo that. I totally agree with what you're saying, and it's just, I also would like to see that Quakertown would also carry their own load as well. That's all. I don't want to see the programs cut. I think they're doing a phenomenal job over there. I mean, just sitting in listening to meetings and hearing about the student of the month and the awards these young men and women are winning, I think is awesome. But I also want other districts to pull their weight.
But we're not pulling our weight either, that's the whole point
Well,
of this.
But not as bad.
But nobody's pulling their own weight, no one. That needs to be clear.
I'm for moving it forward, maybe. Just,
Okay,
that's
are
my
board
2
members
cents.
willing to
Yes.
take this to a vote? And there obviously will be a vote on the March 26th, unless people say, no, we can't do that. So, yes, you asked, someone asked. I do support it reluctantly, I will admit, but I do support it because I do think, like Mrs. Miller and Mrs. Kildare said, these are important programs and they benefit the community. And they, cost money, but they really, in some ways, aren't as costly as other things. I think what it also points out is the consortium is not the world's best deal currently. The VOTEC is looking to potentially go an alternate route, but they're in a tough position. When you have less than 100 employees, it's not a very large group to drive a healthcare program to lower pricing. You really end up paying top dollar. So that's where they are. So. Yes, so we'll put this on the agenda, and if there are more questions, you can ask one of us, one of the JOC members, or Mrs. Capuano. I sure would love to hear from you, if you have real questions, or not, as the case may be, but in any case, okay, so we'll move on. Let's go to the next item on the, okay, we have 3 budget reviews tonight. First is transportation.
Good evening.